There we go. Well. Welcome back. Welcome back to the DC UK podcast. This is season 7 and episode 7. And as always, I'm your host, James Graham. It's a bit of a solemn episode, shall we say. It's a long time coming. Doesn't make it any better, but it's an episode where we do have to talk about the fact that we are now out of playoff contention. We knew the day was coming. It was a matter of when and not if. But it's here. Let's go through it. As always, these views are going to be from my point of view, from the British point of view, from this side of the pond. But let's get into it. Let's talk about some stuff. So what is coming up on today's show? So we'll be reviewing what was probably the best performance we've had in a little while against Inter Miami. The 1-1 draw. As always, but not as always, I've got back into it. Did a watch-along on Saturday evening / Sunday morning. So we've got that to cover. We're going to be covering off, obviously, the fact that we are now officially in the stages of building for 2026. And we'll be also looking ahead towards this weekend's game against NYCFC in the Bronx. So let's talk about that in a moment. But before we do, let's have a bit of fun. It's an incredibly easy guess, DC Who. If you don't get it, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed. So this one is basically all about the main man and the reason why I support DC United and the reason why I found out about the club. So if you can't get it just from that, then you've not really introduced yourself into the show. So go and check it out on dcunitedkingdom.com/about. The link, if you just scan that, you get all the links that you need. He was a 5-time MLS Best 11 player and has won 4 MLS Cups with DC United. If you don't know it, all will be revealed at the end of the show. Before we do go into a lot of sort of the news, the talking points, this is a talking point, and I haven't done a headline for it. So before we do go into that, let's do the classic theme. Of course, it's a beautiful theme. I'm sure you'll all admit it is a gorgeous theme. Right, so let's just turn that off. Still getting used to getting back into the swing of things and pressing all the right buttons at the right time. So, yeah, as it says in the chat as well, if you've got any questions, please do get them in and I will answer them on the show. So the first thing I want to talk about, it's not news, but I want to talk about it, and that is the story of the 2025 campaign. I've written some bits down, so bear with me. It's been a bit of an up and down season. We had a great start. We were unbeaten in the first 4 games. We had the friendlies before the season even started. A couple of draws against the Red Bulls and Colorado Rapids, and we beat Charleston Battery for the Coffee Cup. And we beat Houston Dynamo. You're probably seeing some of those results coming through over here on the left-hand side. Not to go on about it again, but it is there. As you can see, there's the Red Bulls draw, the Charleston Battery, DC United. Oh, we've got beat by Nashville there. So we had that, and then a loss to Nashville, that 4-1 defeat, which kind of summed up what the season was going to be all about, really. We kicked off at Audi Field. I think there was a sense of optimism at the start of the season. I think there was a lot of hope for us to get off to a good start. There was a huge amount of change in the off-season. Obviously, it was Troy try to say its first full season, shall we say. And I think we brought in some, what we thought were solid players anyway. And the players that we brought in last summer, we thought they needed that a few months just to get themselves in. And actually, this was going to be the first proper season we'll see of the likes of Eno and the Peltolers and all that jazz. We started off with a 2-2 draw at home against Toronto, where we had the 2-1 lead at half-time, but we lost that in the second half. Then a week later, we went to Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. We got a 2-2 draw there as well. So 2 draws, and if I remember rightly, that was where Jacob Murrell got that goal in at a time as well, which was a beautiful, beautiful bicycle. Then we got our first win of the season when we returned to Audi Field on March 9th. It was 0-0 at half-time, tense, that all thinking, is this going to be the same again? But we managed to get that 2-1 win against SKC. Then it was very short-lived. Very, very short-lived. We had a 0-0 draw against Montreal, which at the time was a bit, it could be worse. Could be better, obviously, but it could be worse. Towards this end of the season, now we know that was a shocking result. Then it really started. 4-1 defeat to Orlando, and that was just the start of the season, which became the story of the season, where we've had some good moments throughout the year. Not many, but some. But man, have we been consistently bad. It's not been great, shall we say. Then we moved into sort of the April-May time. It was just all over the place. April was horrendous. We had that 6-1 defeat to San Jose, which I remember that one. I remember being up in the middle of the night. I think my eldest woke up and I had to go and see him. And I ended up watching the game in bed. And when it got to 3-1, I was like, that's enough. I can't take this anymore, and turned it off. Then we got that win against the Red Bulls. I don't really remember that, but we got a win, and then we lost against Philadelphia Union. May offered a bit of a hope with Colorado Rapids, but then lost, draw, and then another draw. And we saw what was coming. We saw it was going to be a tough season. And we thought, you know what? If we can do well in the US Open Cup, then the season might not all be for nothing. We got through the round of 32. We just managed to scrape through the round of 16 with that penalty shootout win. Jordan Farr saving those penalties. Then the quarterfinals and the game against Nashville, and that was it. That was it. I think that was Troy's last game, and that meant that was that Troy's last. No, I don't think it was Troy's. Was it Troy's last game? I can't remember. It feels like this season has just been a bit of a mind mess. My brain is just like sludge with this season, and I'm very happy for this season to be over. We've had a 7-1 defeat to Chicago Fire as well, multiple losses. Interim manager just couldn't get even a point whilst he was in charge, and we're now into the end of August, waiting for the season to be over. We had that draw against Inter Miami, and that meant our season was over. But we will talk about that coming up shortly. What is also a good thing to look at is actually some of the stats about the season, and actually look back and what have been some of the highs and what have been some of the lows. So, who has stood out this season? Obviously, Benteke has been top goal scorer, 8 goals, and he's made 52 shots. Obviously, he was suspended at the weekend. Shot in nearly every 25 minutes that he's been on the pitch, which 52 shots for 25 minutes per shot. He's not played a lot this season at all. He's been injured for quite a lot, and for him to be the leading goal scorer says a lot. He's also won 136 duels as well in the year. So he's still obviously doing what he does best. Then you've got to look at the creativity that's been, I say creativity inverted commas. Gabriel Pirani, 7 goal contributions, 4 goals, 3 assists. Then you've got Beglo as well with 3 goals and 3 assists. And he's been injured quite a lot. So we've got the supporting cast right there. Pirani's had that season where he's been a bit up and down. He's had some really, really good moments, but that's been kind of a flash in the pan. He's very much a confidence player. And it's going to be interesting to see how he does with Rene in charge, and if that brings anything out in him, or are we just going to get more of the same? And if we start getting more of the same throughout the end of the season, he can go. He can absolutely go. Then in defence, Kai Rolls and Lucas Bartlett being kind of the main guys in there. Rolls making 39 tackles and 47 interceptions. Bartlett with 24 blocks. And then David Schnegg's played over 2,300 minutes this season, 67 tackles and 34 key passes throughout the season. And for a left back, that's pretty good going, shall we say. He's been probably one of the standout players for 2025 is Schnegg. He came in the summer of 2024, and we saw some really good moments from him last year, but this year he's kind of taken it on and been doing pretty good. Then the depth hasn't been there. We've had some decent moments from our depth players, shall we say, but it's not enough. We just do not have the strength and depth. Jackson Hopkins, even though he's only 21, he scored 2 goals in the last 2 games, which has been brilliant. Great to see his first 2 MLS career goals, and he's playing up top in the last match. Incredible, and captaining. We've really got to start talking about the contracts as well, because there are a number of contracts that for players who are on the brink of losing out, shall we say, and running out of deals. I forgot to load this bit up, so bear with me just a moment whilst this does get loaded onto my system. And there are a number of players, I didn't realise this, that are either on option years or due to have their contracts run out. And lo and behold, the website doesn't want to load. Which is not ideal. Really not ideal. I was kind of really hoping to have that there. But anyway, so the key personnel there, which will actually, if I bring up, I've got it on my phone now. I can control everything on my phone, which is very weird to be able to do this. So if I bring up the first bit here, if we look at playing for a contract, here we go. So yes, the club has obviously faced massive roster decisions this season. We've got expiring contracts. So we've got both Luis Barraza and Lucas McNaughton. Their contracts are just expiring. There's no options on those. So they've got 6 games to really earn a new contract. Barraza would be a solid number 2. I believe we need to get a new goalkeeper in. Kim and John Fart and Lewis are not your starters. They are your depth pieces. And we need a really good, solid keeper to come in. Lucas McNaughton, I'm not 100% sold on him, but I'm not thinking he's a bad defender either. I'd be happy to give him another 12 months just to see how he gets on. I think he could actually be a really good player if we have other good centre-backs alongside him. And then the players who are on options, so you've got Benteke in a question from one of the fans of the podcast. That's coming up later on in the episode. Gabriel Parani, as mentioned, if he doesn't book his IDs up for the next 6 matches, he can. I wouldn't be sad to see him go. Aaron Herrera, I think we need to exercise his option. I think we need to keep him. And then there's Randall Leal, who, not fussed about him. He has not done enough for me to warrant keeping him for next year. But then there's also the likes of Jackson Hopkins and Christian Fletcher. Now, obviously, Fletcher's been out injured a lot. And obviously, Hopkins has been out injured a lot over the last couple of years as well. And this is something that is going to be intriguing. Fletcher was on loan to Nottingham Forest in their U21 team. Obviously, nothing materialised from that. I think he had after his injury, and we recalled him from loan as well. And I think that's going to be, I don't know whether we'll take that into account or not, as to whether we use his injury record to maybe not offer him that new contract. I think we'd be foolish not to, but I don't know what he's done to earn a new contract or have his options taken up, if I'm honest. I think this is going to be a massive year of a clear out again, which feels like we're doing this every year. New manager, new clear out, start fresh. Not sure how much more that can go on for. We don't want to be, we are turning into a Watford. It's not great. Jackson Hopkins, now his form has just picked up at the crucial moment of the season. If that continues, then brilliant. We can obviously exercise his options, and I've finally got the website open. I think I have mentioned Caden Clark is on an option as well. Derek Dodson, Connor Antley. Now, Caden Clark, interesting. We'll see what happens. He's got 6 games to prove himself. Connor Antley, I definitely think has done enough. Absolutely solid, and I would be very upset if he doesn't get his option year. Then, as mentioned, Fletcher, Garrison Tubbs is on an option year. So it'll be interesting to see if we take that one up. I'm not seeing a huge amount from him, so I'll trust the Rene on that one. Readers are here, he can go, and Jose Kojima has to stay. 100% has to stay. I love him to bits. He's been phenomenal. His work effort that he puts out is just insane. Absolutely insane. Now, we've also got to talk about, if we're talking about contracts, we've got to talk about the returning DP slot as well. That's coming back next year. So we're currently using 2 right now. We have used Christian Benteke. As mentioned, he's on an option year. And it'll be interesting to see if we keep him on. But also Mateusz Klich. Now, you know my feelings on that particular trade. But that is due to expire at the end of the season. We get that extra DP slot back. And if we don't keep Benteke, which, like I said, we'll talk about that later, I think we're going to be in a really weird place at the start of 2026. An incredibly weird place at the start of 2026. We're on a 3 DP model. So we do actually even have a current DP slot available. We've not used it. So, our transfer window was appalling, to say the least. Absolutely appalling window. The fact that we only brought Caden Clark in. And that was it. Just, yeah, absolutely horrendous, to say the least. Why isn't that disappearing? But hey, I'll just use the other one. Yeah, I really wish we could have had some transfers to talk about this week, but we really don't. I'm disappointed by that. I think the club have missed an absolute sitter not bringing anyone in. The summer is the big time to bring in your top players because the contracts run out in Europe and across the world. There's not many countries that do the season that we do in terms of from the start of the year, from like February all the way through to November, December. There's not many countries around the world that does that kind of season. So a lot of those players are running out at the end of June with just nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm disappointed. I'm frustrated. I think we could have done a lot better. But hey, we've got a game to talk about. We have got to talk, unfortunately, got to talk about the game against Inter Miami. Let me bring up the match stats on the screen. So, you've got a 1-1 draw. And this was, for me, a great draw. Granted, Inter Miami made 8 changes to the starting 11 because they were focused on the Leagues Cup semi-final. That happened yesterday, where they did beat Orlando City for the first time this season. But they did bring on their big players in the second half. And we really did incredibly well in that first half against Inter Miami. We dominated. We could have had a second goal. We should have had a second goal. But we found a weak spot and we tried to go to town on it. We found that they were weak on the set pieces. And you could see every time we did a corner, we did a free kick, we were putting it into the mixer. And even though we didn't have that big Benteke up front, we just had bodies in there. And Inter Miami was struggling. They didn't know what to do. But let's have a little rundown of those match stats. So you got shots 11-14. We were ahead in the first half, and in the second half it was a bit of a struggle, which was to be expected. We only had 2 shots on target. Inter Miami only had 3, so there wasn't much difference there. Off target, pretty much the same story. Blocked attempts, 4-5. Then possession, they really did outpossess. In that second half, they completely dominated possession. It was incredible. Corner kicks, 5-8, so plenty of corners in this game. Fouls, 13-14, 2 yellow cards apiece. It did feel like in the first half that the referee was very much biased towards Inter Miami. The fact that we had 2 yellow cards and Inter Miami had more fouls given against them. They didn't have any yellow cards at all. And then the expected goals. Now, this is the big surprise. 1.15 to 0.62. And we'll talk about the reason why that is 0.62. They scored like the most incredible goal that you've ever seen. It truly was something else. So let me just bring it up. So we've got the match stats, so we've done that. Now let's have a look at the player stats. And I will just need to take off the QR code there. So this is a breakdown of the stats between the two teams. And what you'll see here is a little bit of an update on this as well. You can see all the ratings color-coded nicely. Our top player for us was between Lucas Bartlett and Jackson Hopkins, both on 7.3, and Matty Peltola as well. Jackson Hopkins getting the goal, Peltola getting the assist, Bartlett just having a good defensive game, shall we say. Now, formation-wise, we were playing a 4-2-3-1 in the end. It was advertised as different formations, but it was a 4-2-3-1. What was I going to say? Yeah. Otherwise, you look at it, our weakest player there was, on paper, Schneck. in the starting 11. Now, that wasn't the fact that he had a bad game. He had a decent game. It's just, it wasn't anything outstanding. But we've got to talk about that first goal from Hopkins. It was a bit out of the blue. We had a corner. It was cleared out. And I really wish I had the clip cut down for this, because I'd just love to have been playing it right now, because you'll be able to see my reaction, because I just went a bit loopy, to say the least. So go and check it out if you haven't. If just go on the stream, find the right minutes, you'll see it. But Beltler just lobs the ball back into the box. Like I said, putting it into the mixer. Inter Miami was struggling. They just had no confidence in their backline. And Hopkins gets a great first touch, takes it down nicely on the turn, and just hammers it home into the back of the net. It was incredible. I went absolutely crazy in this little office of mine. And I just jumped around screaming. It's like, holy shit, what a goal. It was just absolutely spot on. I loved it. It was a fantastic finish. We then had a potential second goal, and this was a great run of play. Ball coming down the right-hand side. It was played into Pirani. Pirani could have played it back out wide to the right. I can't remember who was free, but Kojima was free on the left. Kojima goes through on goal. He hits it with his left foot, goes for that far post on the right-hand side. Unfortunately, the keeper was equal to that effort. If I was going to criticise that particular shot in any way, shape or form, it was the fact that it was at a really good height for the goalkeeper. If it was along the ground or hammered in at the near post, that would have been 2-0. And we would have really shocked MLS with that. It wasn't to be. And it came into the second half. And this is where you start seeing Inter Miami, they started bringing on their subs. They started bringing on their key players, the likes of Busquets, Rodrigo de Paul, and Luis Suarez. They also brought on David Ruiz and Ian Frey. Sorry, not David Ruiz. He started. Baltasar Rodriguez, who was the star player in the end, and Ian Frey. Now, when they start bringing those guys on, the momentum changed, and you could see Miami were controlling the pace of the game. They were seeking out that little gap. They weren't finding it, and it ended up being an absolute golazo from Baltasar Rodriguez. From range, the ball has come out of the box. Again, I think this was from another corner, and it's come down the left-hand side. He's right-footed. He has gone across to the ball. He's gone around, shaped around. I'm going to just bring the match stats off screen just so I can... If you're watching this, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. The ball has come out this way. He has gone around it and hit the ball with the outside of his foot and has just hammered it into that top corner, in the top bins. And you just had to tip your hat off. That was a hell of a finish. Great goal. Can't argue. Apart from one little point was nobody was marking him. There was nobody on him. No one around him for 10 yards or so. That's my only critique, but it was a wonder goal. And you've got, like I say, you've got to tip your hat off to players who can score that kind of goal. I just want to go back to the player stats and just kind of go through the last bit on there, which is the average rating. So the average rating for DC was 6.8. The average rating for Inter Miami was 7, thanks to that second half performance. So yeah, fair play to Inter Miami for that second half, but they only got a point against the Wooden Spoon contenders, and that was a great point for us. So even though it meant we were out of the playoffs, it's 2 draws on the bounce for Rene in his first 2 matches for the club. He is unbeaten. He's had probably we're comparing it to how we were before. a much better way of playing. There was a lot of pressure and a lot of pressing, but not in the way that we've seen over the last few years, especially with Lasada ball, where it was just constant, and it was not a lot. It was a lot of effort, and you could see the players just weren't used to it at all. Then Lasane was trying to do the same sort of thing, but more in a gegenpress way, and again, it just wasn't fitting. Now Rene's come in. We've kind of doing the pressing in the right moments. It's not feeling like we're getting players dragged out of position for no reason. The players are going to the right place at the right time, and it just something. I don't know what it is, but just something has changed in the last couple of weeks. And you know what I'm like. If you're a long time listener, you know I'm an optimistic kind of guy. But there is a little cause for optimism. And I think we can get some better results towards the end of the season. It's just when it comes to the off-season and that huge turnover that I'm expecting to see, I just don't have confidence in the front office to bring the right players in. That's my concern. I've got minimal concern with Rene. My concern is the front office and him being able to bring in the players that he wants. And he tends to have issues with front offices that don't give him what he wants. So I hope that we can. And I hope we can provide him what he needs. And I think if we can do that, I might buy some extra credit or some credit with fans, especially front office people. But if we don't, then it's good. When you saw the atmosphere at the Inter Miami game, it was deathly quiet. I've not heard it that quiet in such ever. It was weird. I know there was a lot more Inter Miami fans and a lot more casuals there. But even so, in that kind of game, there's usually something going on, and it was just so quiet. It was just eerily quiet. Very, very weird. But yeah, that's the Inter Miami game. Now we get to look ahead to the New York City game this weekend. Now, again, I'll be doing the watch along, so please do tune in. Get your early predictions in the chat, which will pop up just down here. I've now got that working as I wanted to, so you'll see all your messages popping in the bottom there. And if you've got any questions, as it says there, get your questions in. The New York City game. Let's bring up the prediction. Let's see if it's brought up the right one. Nope, that's play stats. There we go. Prediction time. That is got the wrong date on it. Let me just load up the right fixture. Bear with me 2 moments. Load. There we go. Bosh. Right. 31st of August at midnight British Summer Time. Fantastic time. Love it. Yankee Stadium. Referee's not been announced just yet. Now, the headline here is the predicted winner is NYCFC. And the predicted score, it's a maximum of these. So, a maximum 3.5 goals to 1.5. So, realistically, a 3-1 defeat is on the cards. But that's what I said last week. And we proved that wrong. And the percentages are, again, exactly the same. 45% for NYCFC. 45% draw and 10% DC United. Now, you can understand why it's thinking like that. But it'd be very, very interesting to see how that does play out. You look at the stats for New York City. 13 wins, 5 draws, 8 defeats, 37 goals scored, 30 goals conceded. So they have a positive goal difference, an average goals of 1.4 to 1.2 goals a game. Clean sheets, they've got 8 so far, but they've also failed to score in 8 games so far this season. Not too dissimilar to how DC United have been performing in that arena. Their biggest win, 4-0, and their most used formation is 4-2-3-1. DC United, on the other hand, 4 wins, 9 draws, 15 defeats, only scored 24 goals and conceded 53. So, in terms of goals per game, that has not changed at all. 0.9 for scoring, 1.9 for conceding. 4 clean sheets and 11 goals that we failed to score. So again, that has not changed. Our biggest win was a 2-1 away win, which is horrendous. And again, most used formation, 4-2-3-1. It's not 4-4-2 though. It's definitely not 4-4-2. Head-to-head wise, this is where the last 2 games have been at Audi Field, and they've both been draws, 0-0 and 1-1. Then on the road at NYCFC, we got beat 2-0. And then back at Audi, 2-0 win. And then on the road, 3-2 win for NYCFC. So when you look at it there, on the road, we don't do great at all. And it's always been the case against New York City. We've never done well at their ground. And I don't think many teams particularly do well there, because the way the pitch is, granted they've got their new stadium being built as we speak, and it'd be great to see New York City play in an actual soccer-specific stadium week in, week out. It'd be interesting to see how that changes their home form as well. Will that get better, or will it get worse as teams who are playing them are used to the fact that it's be playing on a proper sized pitch? League standings, so NYCFC are currently in 8th place after 26 games on 44 points, and DC United are stone dead last in the East in 15th on 21 points. Now, even though we got a great result against Inter Miami, Montreal decided to somehow get 3 points, and we are truly not joint 14th as we were last week. We are now out on our own in 15th place, and LA Galaxy, who are 5 points behind us in the Supporters' Shield, have a couple of games in hand on us, so they could overtake us if they are able to get a couple of wins with their games in hand. So we really could be on for that wooden spoon this year. And you look at the recent form, NYCFC are unbeaten in their last 5 games. They've had 1 defeat in the last 6. 3 wins on the bounce. So they're on really good form right now. DC United, 2 draws in the last 2 games. So it's starting to pick up, especially with the new head coach coming in. But on the whole, we've not won for a long time. I don't know whether we actually know whether we could still win again. I'd like to think we can get one more win this year. That would be nice. Nice to celebrate something. But not all that hopeful, shall we say. So, and what you'll see down at the bottom there as well, if you look down here, is the next fixtures that are coming up. So you've got, as mentioned, NYCFC coming through at the bottom there. Then we're at home against Orlando City. We're then away to Inter Miami, so we get to play them again on the 21st of September. Then we're at home to Philadelphia Union, followed by our penultimate game of the season, which is against Charlotte FC at 7:30 kickoff for us, which would be nice. I won't be doing a watch along for that one because I'll be watching it with my boy. He gets to watch DC United play live. He loves. It's a shame he loves the club. I've really got him into it, and every week he watches the highlights and he wants to know how we've done. And I always, at the moment, have to say to him, we did win. But he's always cheering DC United on. So we have a proper DC United fan, another one over here, and a great little 5-year-old in my little boy who, like I say, he absolutely loves it. He absolutely does it, and he gets to watch a game live-ish, obviously on TV, but he gets to watch it. One day, he'll be able to come out and actually watch a game in person. He was supposed to a couple of years ago. We got chickenpox. Yeah, it'd be great to get him to a game. I was hoping it was going to be decent. It was going to be his first match, but we were able to go and see Cheltenham Town play last season as his first game. It was nice to be local as well. So yeah, I'm waffling on because we've got to talk about a couple of their key players as well. So NYCFC, they've got Alonso Martinez, who's got 13 goals, and Hans Wolf, who's got 9 goals and 5 assists. Going to be tricky for our defence. They really want to get into the playoffs. They're there or thereabouts. Suspect they really don't want to be playing the playing game either. So they'll be on it. We'll see whether we can get anything out of this game. I don't think we will. I think we're going to be getting beat this weekend, and probably 2-0 defeat, which would be a huge shame. But hey, that's what I'm expecting. And if I go into it negative and we get something better out of it, then great. Happy days. We probably should start looking at some of the fan questions now. So, as always, I ask you guys to send some in. And I had an Instagram question and a couple of questions on Twitter. And if you are watching this live, please do, if you've got a question, literally anything, pop it in the chat just down below. Right. Now, my phone's decided to go into sleep mode. Right, let's get that first question up on screen. https.jj16 on Instagram. Should Benteke be sold? And if so, who should be a new striker? Well, selling him is not really an option now. As you can see, just needs to wet the whistle. I don't think he should stay. If I'm honest, I don't think he's worthy of staying now. He's getting old. He's 35 now, I think, off the top of my head, and he's been out a lot this season. He's lost. He didn't have a huge amount of pace to start with, but he's lost a lot this year. He's not scored as many as you could probably imagine, not playing as much, but we're just not getting as good a return as we did before. He had that great season, and he's been a good servant for the club. And the fact that he was able to get a golden boot in this team, I think, speaks volumes. I think he should go down as one of the good, not great, but one of the good players for the club. And he will always look fondly on his time here for the Black and Red. But I think that time's come to an end now. I wouldn't begrudge him moving away if he chose to do that. I just don't think we should. He's not worthy now. Probably a time contract if we're going to keep him, but not a DP contract at all. We need that slot. We need it for someone younger. In terms of a new striker, I don't know who, but I know what type of player I'd want. And I'd want someone with a bit of pace, with a bit of an ego. Someone who thinks he can do it and actually is able to do it. I know SC Cincinnati brought Brenner back in on loan. I would love that kind of player, that kind of striker. That's who I would want. That's the type of player I'd want. I'm not keen on having someone who is tall, big. Don't get me wrong, it's been great to have Benteke, but we got sucked into one way of playing and one way of playing only, and that wasn't beautiful. It was predictable, and a lot of the time this season as well, opposition stuck a couple of players on him and just crowded them out, and we just ended up having to go through a different way, and we just had no answer to that. So I think having a bit more dynamism, if that's the word I'm looking for, I think that's the kind of thing that we need. So I think we should let Benteke go. All good things come to an end. I think we should move on. I think it's time. Absolutely time. So thank you for that question. That was great. And let's have a look. Richard has come in and asked, are there any players you want to see play in these final games and any you would sit out for the rest of the season? I don't think I would sit anyone. I know I do. Borisino. I would absolutely bench him. Really don't like him. I think he's been an absolute liability all season, and ever since he's joined the club, waste of money. Absolute waste of money. I wouldn't give Readers here any minutes either. I don't think he's been any good at all. I think Jacob Murrell, he's had plenty of opportunities, and he had him. And I forgot to mention that the opportunity he had in the second half in the Inter Miami game where he blasted it off the post, and then he had the goal ruled out as well for being offside. Granted, it was offside, but he shouldn't have been. So yes, I wouldn't. Jacob Murrell, I wouldn't give any more real minutes to. Matty Pelton needs to be starting each game. He looks confident on the ball, just there, just to kind of mop up what needs to be done and just start things off. I love seeing Anthony play. I would love to see him keep him in the starting 11. Don't mind Herrera moving up into midfield. I think that's a wise decision to do that. I wouldn't give Stroud many more minutes. I'm absolutely over him. He's been a waste of space this year. Not any goal contributions at all. Who else? Who else would I get rid of? Or not allowed to play the rest of the season? I'll try and give it youth as many minutes as possible, really. And that actually leads me on to his second question, which was, would you consider promoting any academy players to get first team minutes as long as they deemed ready to play at a professional level? 100%. 100%. If they're ready, age doesn't matter. Age does not matter. If you're ready, you're ready. We should not be afraid to give people minutes who are deserving of that. And if we are, then those people are in the wrong business. Absolutely in the wrong business. We should be ready to give those people the opportunity to play, earn their stripes, get their contracts, rather than sitting on players who are getting paid a bit more and feel like we need to play them because they're getting paid a bit more. And if that's the reason why, then it's appalling. And I hope Rene's brave enough to go, Benteke, you haven't trained well this week. So-and-so has trained better. We're going to give him the start, and if we need you, you'll come off the bench this week. I hope he's brave enough to do those big decisions like that. But yeah, if they're old enough, if they're good enough, they're old enough. So that's what I see in my mind. And that's it for the questions this week. That's really appreciated. Love those. And if you want to get your questions in, then please do message me in on either Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Keep an eye out on the socials for those question posts, the podcast announcements. Keep them coming in. I do enjoy reading them and actually answering them on the podcast. And if you are tuning in whenever, get them in. If you're watching this live, pop them into the chat. If you're watching this afterwards or listening to the episode afterwards, then I do appreciate you listening in to today's episode. The guest DC Who for this week, the reason why I know DC United and one of the big reasons why I follow the club, it was Jaime Moreno. My team here in the UK, Middlesbrough. I really should probably put a Middlesbrough shirt up here. I need to get the new one at some point. We sold him to DC United, and that was the reason why I know the club, and Freddie Do was the reason why I follow him on Football Manager and follow the club to this day. So yeah, Jaime Moreno, thank you very much. If you got that, well done. If you didn't, what are you playing at? What are you playing at? But yeah, that is it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what I do, scan the QR code. Or if you're just listening to this, hit the link in the descriptions below. Merch is always available, so please do grab yourself something. We are coming up towards the end of the year. I know it's hard to believe we're not that far off from the big C word. So grab yourself something ready for the winter months. I will try and get maybe some beanies. Let me know if you think a DC UK beanie would be something that you would purchase. And if it is, I will make it. Yeah, that's all for this week. Nice, shorter episodes compared to what it has over the last couple of weeks. But that doesn't mean it hasn't been a good one. Let's hope 2025 ends on a high. Let's hope we get something good out of this game. And if it's not this game, the next game, and we just keep going. We keep going. Hashtag sell the team, Jason. Sell the fucking team. Let's move on. Let's get this club where it needs to be, where it's just back at the top, being the main club in Major League Soccer. Until next time, Farmers United.